So we're going to start by taking our frontal and finding the proper position on the dome cap. So we're trying to keep it centered and place it so that it lays flat. Well, that the back of it lays flat. Do not worry about the front of what the front of it looks like. Sorry, I can't speak, guys. Yeah, don't worry about what the front of it looks like, as long as the back of it, so the part that you have to sew down, lays flat with no lumps and bumps, you are going to be in the clear. So that is what we're focusing on. And don't get frustrated if it does take you quite a bit of time to get it down flat, especially if it's your first time. My first time, I'm not even joking, it took me maybe about half an hour, and I got so frustrated that I took a break and came back and then got it the second time. So yeah, just take your time, because it is the most important part to have a good foundation to a flat wig. Now I'm just gonna need a moment of your time. Did you know they have blonde thread? Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you watched this video before you went out and bought whatever it is you did to make this wig, because I had to remake this wig. This is actually my second time, because I made the entire wig with black thread. But back to the matter at hand, now that our frontal is T-pinned down, what we're going to do is just take our needle and thread and sew it to our dome cap. So I move kind of, the video is sped up, but you move kind of slower in the beginning, because on those sides there is an elastic band, and you need to ensure that you're not sewing through the elastic, because you still want that stretch. So you only go through the first layer of fabric. After that, once you're no longer on the elastic, it's smooth sailing, and as you can see, I speed up and rush right through it. So now we start sewing in our bundles. My longest bundle is 22, so I have two 22 inches and one 20 inch. So I'm starting with the first 22 at the bottom, and along the bottom as well there is the same elastic. It's around the whole circumference of the dome cap. So as I said, just ensure that you don't sew through the elastic. If you are a beginner, or if you just have spacing problems, or it gets annoying holding up the weave, I do T-pin. So you'll measure out the length from one side to another, T-pin it down so you know exactly where you're sewing to, so you don't sew diagonally or anything, and you keep it in your straight line, and it makes the process much easier. And I forgot to mention that I do double my wefts. One, because I don't have time to be making a wig all day, and two, it just makes it easier when I do my spacing between them, so it doesn't look as thin. And I try to make my spacing, especially because they're double wefted, and at the back about a finger and a half width apart, and as I get closer to the top, I kind of close that spacing to just like a finger width. Because of the camera angle, it's hard for me to show you the flip over method that I use, so I'm going to show you on the other side. So essentially, I don't cut my wefts. Helps with shedding, and partly because I'm lazy and I can never find my scissors when I actually need them. So I sew as close to the frontal as possible, even linking the stitches, and then I just fold over the weave and just sew back in the other direction until the bundle's over. Now that we're at the top, this is the only weft I cut. I just cut it to make it fit in that remaining gap, so that I can just sew in that one last double wefted track to basically lay flush against the frontal so that there is no gap between it. Some people like to do it single wefted just so that it lays super flat. However, the frontal I had a pretty decent density, so there was no issue with me double wefting it. So now our wig is made, and we just need to customize our frontal. There really is no, at least I don't have a science to it. I really just like to part just a little. I do a little bit at a time. You could tell I'm slow. I did not speed up this part of the video just so you could see exactly how much time I take in order to customize my frontals. So I'll part a little bit of hair, just pluck a little bit, and then see how that looks. Your biggest friend with customizing, honestly, take your time. I cannot stress that enough, and make frequent trips. If you're lucky enough you're doing this where there's a mirror closer to you. I had to walk to the front bathroom several times, but I took that wig off that mannequin head at least 3 times just doing this one side alone, because you're trying to match it to make it look as realistic on your hairline as possible. So I would pluck a little, be like, okay, this looks good, take it to the bathroom, put it on my head, and decide if I wanted to do more or not, because the last thing you want is a balding frontal. Oh no, sis. So you just take your time and you're just going to slowly repeat the process around the perimeter of the head. So this is just to show you about how much I took out from that one side alone you guys saw me doing. And we made it, guys. The last part of your wig is you're going to cut out the black stocking cap that lay directly under the frontal. Just ensure that you don't cut too close to the frontal, because then you might have it unravel and that would make you have to restart your entire wig.